Hello, welcome to day 57. Had to think about that for a minute. Wow. When you open the body up, the way I've been opening it up lately, yesterday I did another hour and a half of mostly yin yoga. I did pull-ups and push-ups and bodyweight squats, just really going deep into the body. You really feel like you're in a new realm of consciousness, and it's because I am. I feel like there's so many realms of consciousness in the body. There's so much just of this, just consciousness in general in the body. There's so many different places that we can access, that we can really um, you know, find the key to unlock in our body. And really the key is just working with the body, listening to the body, eating healthy, whatever kind of movement your body is asking you for. Yin yoga is one for me that is just, it's blowing me away, the kind of life-changing progress I feel like I'm already making with it, and how I'm just feeling more and more pulled to go deeper and deeper into it. I was saying the other day, I feel like I cultivated the ability to sit in silence for 2 hours every day just so that I could do yin yoga. Like, that's how powerful it's been. Because sitting, doing yin yoga for long periods of time adds a whole nother layer of intensity to just sitting in silence, because you're exposing so much tension in your body, so much atrophy, so much of this, you know, deep pain, unresolved trauma. You're going deep into your cellular structure. What I think it's like a lot of your emotions and your pain and your repressed, feelings, they're stored in your fascia, or in just like deep in your body, and yin yoga really helps to like just pull these up to the surface. So it's like a deep cleanse of all of this stuff that we just keep in our bodies. And when we're doing yin yoga for long periods, we're going super deep into the connective tissue, because you're holding poses, and it's just so much is stored in the connective tissue as well, and that all comes up to the surface, and it's just afterwards though, you feel like so opened up, and like just so in your body, so in your like infinite nature. Like, I feel like transparent almost, like this body is just feels so much more clear and empty. And so therefore this vehicle, it can drive me into new places of consciousness, new places of awareness. And it's fascinating when I'm meditating now how much I can get stuck in story, because the story is so good. Like this, I just enjoy the stories of the mind so much now. And that's crazy for me to say, given where I was 2.5 years ago. Like 2.5 years ago, I had to let go of the story of the mind. I had to fall into my space of awareness. I had to connect with my, the energetic subtle body, whatever your term for it is. I heard one of Mara say, what did she say? My space place. I really like that. But anyway, so when I was early in my healing journey, early in my kundalini awakening, the thoughts in my mind were so negative, I could not reside there. I had to connect to something greater, to my pure awareness, my pure consciousness. I had to connect to that place where, where you're not an object of perception, right? You are, and like, you aren't even the witness. Like, what allows for the witness, right? So much of spirituality, as my teacher Craig was saying in a satsang, is we get identified with the witness, with the observer of thoughts, right? But what allows for the witness? so early in my awakening, I would have to transcend the mind because the mind was such a dark place to be. It was so filled with negativity and intrusive dark thoughts that connecting to my space of being, just falling back and letting go into my spacious nature was an absolute a thing I had to do just to like let this healing process happen because my mind got so dark I couldn't be there. And so I would spend vast parts of the day just literally letting go into space, into this connection with your more expansive, with my more expansive nature. And it's interesting now that I've done so much work, I've done so much healing, how I don't feel that need a lot of times to like leave the mind because the stories are, like I said, so enjoyable, so filled with like love and abundance and and even still, even when the mind stories are that good, it's still only like 1%, 10% as satisfying as letting go into pure awareness, as pure consciousness of the eternal witness. And because when you're in the story, you're still an object of perception. You know, you are in a story. You are still not reaching the depth of presence that connecting to your spacious, pure awareness nature can bring you. When we have let go of thought and let go of the story altogether, then we are so much more present. And when we have that kind of presence, we have so much more of a depth of experience. And that allows for so much more like joy and true, like even euphoria and true like transcendence of time and space altogether. Even as good as it can be in the mind, we're still in time and space. We're still an object of perception. It's still very limited. It still is very shallow. It's a very shallow experience. Even when the story is super good, even when the movie in your mind is really good, it's still so shallow and it's just not, you always are wanting more, you know? And that's the thing with the mind and desire and wanting. You're always left wanting more, which means you're always left unsatisfied and just kind of disconnected and something's missing. It's because you're missing presence. It's because you're missing your connection to the moment. And so no matter how good my story was today, every time I would let go of the story and fall into my spacious, pure awareness and into my space of being, I felt this just depth of experience, like this real connection to my true nature, to my heart, and to the openness in my body. And I could experience it so much more intimately. And all the work I've been doing, it's like you get to experience that more fully. And it's nice to have positive thoughts, but that's not the point of this. You know, a lot of people might get into spirituality and what's that one? The Secret and all of this to kind of get a more positive reality through having more positive thoughts. And sure, that can happen, I guess. But for me, it's not about that. It's about having this direct realization of oneness, the direct realization of being awake. In my yin yoga class that I was listening to online, the instructor told everybody to have an intention. Say, if your intention is health, say, I am health, I am health. Like, say that to yourself through the class. If your intention's whatever, abundance, whatever it is for you. My intention was awake. I want to be awake. So I would say, I am awake. I am awake while I was holding these yin yoga poses. And that's this whole movement for me. It's to become awake to my true nature, to be liberated. It doesn't matter how good anything out here gets or how good the thoughts get, it still isn't liberation. Because you're still dependent on a circumstance. You're still dependent on an outcome. You're still dependent on, good thoughts and good things happening to feel good. I want to go beyond all of that. And in my meditations, when I go beyond all of that, that's when I have that real feeling of this is where I want to be. I want to be in this place. This is where I want to reside. This is where I want to speak from. This is where I want to love from. This is where I want to experience life from. And it's an easier task to let go of the mind when it's super negative, right? I don't know if it's easier in a sense, but it's definitely something that we are more on board with. Like, yes, let's let go of that. Let's transcend that into something different, because I can't experience life through this fearful mind anymore. It's literally killing me. That's where I was 2.5 years ago. My fearful and negative thoughts were literally killing the body. It was really dark. And so connecting with my space of nature it had to happen. There was no other path except transcendence of the mind. But now, with a really enjoyable story and very positive thoughts, this isn't all the time, but on certain days especially, it can be a little bit more of a negotiation. The mind can be like, it can have a little bit more pull. Like, are you sure you want to let go? Because this is a good story. Don't you just want to enjoy this story, enjoy this movie in your mind? Isn't this entertaining? And it's like the mind dangling another carrot in front of you. Like, look, see, this is really good. Now I get to stay in control. But even that, I realized it's like still this much, that you're going this deep, where you have a whole freaking ocean, infinite ocean. There's not even a bottom if you'll just let go of the mind and thought and transcend it all together and just rest in your spacious nature. Rest as the eternal witness. One thing that's helpful, I'll leave you on with this, is what is aware of awareness? Like churning, like we have you have thoughts, and then we have the observer of thoughts, right? Well, what is observing the observer of thoughts? Churning that around on itself, that awareness, that the awareness that can observe thoughts, churning that around on itself and observing that, like the awareness prior to thought. And what observes that? Can we go that deep together? Can we go to that place? I want to go to that place, and that's the place that I think opening the body up, opening the heart up, being just in this movement of healing is taking me. It's taking me to realize, like, all this other stuff, the law of attraction, reprogramming your subconscious mind, affirmations to create a more abundant reality. All this stuff is very great and beautiful, and it can be utilized in a way to cultivate a nicer experience of life, but that's not enough for me, and I want to keep going deeper and deeper, and that's what these meditations are taking me to, is like this really deep place of the only thing that can be satisfying is the true realization, to be truly free. And I might not even be saying all this very clearly right now, because it's a movement where I've always listened to it from Mooji, my teacher Craig Holiday, Adyashanti, and earlier when I was first making videos, I might have even regurgitated these teachings, and I understood them in the mind. But day 57 of meditating and doing so much yin yoga and body work and truly going deep and opening and making my whole movement of life now is just so focused and centered on going deep within. Like everything in my life is cultivated around enhancing that movement, creating more focus and precision for that movement. Day 57 of doing this, it feels like I'm leading myself to that place. The divine is leading me to that place of talking about this realization in my own words, And it's still, I'm like just cracking ice. So that whole last thing might have been kind of confusing, but it's cool to just kind of do this in front of you guys so you can see this in real time. It's not something I can grasp fully right now in my own body. I can hear, like I said, I can hear Muji or my teacher Craig or Adyashanti talk about it, and I'm sure you guys can too, and it just resonates deep. But to feel it in your own body, to be being led there, it's really exciting. It's different, and you realize like everything else is just the movie. It's just the divine dream. It's to be honored, and sure, we can do things in the divine dream, law of attraction, manifestation, whatever. But it's never going to, leave us fully satisfied. We can't find our true, it's always going to leave us wanting more. And that's the thing, like, I'm realizing in the mind today. It's like, as good as it all was, and as good as life out here can get, it always leaves us wanting more, whereas the true realization, resting as pure consciousness, that's where this path is taking us. That's where we must go together. So, yeah. Okay. Day 50, gosh, I keep forgetting. Day 57. Namaste.